What's up, guys? Today I'm going to show you how to winterize a Mastercraft NXT. This one does have the 6-liter V8 motor from Ilmore. We'll go over that a little more in a minute. You're only going to need a few simple things: a funnel. You can attach a hose to it if you want. Funnel, marine fuel system treatment, and then I'm going to use 5 gallons of RV antifreeze. I used 7 gallons last year and it was way too much, so we're going to go a little leaner this year. And basically we're going to go through, we'll put antifreeze in the motor. That takes about 3 gallons, and then we're going to put about 3/4 of a gallon in each of the 3 ballast tanks, and I'll show you how to do that in just a second. So first things first, for both of the side ballast tanks, you've got these 2 ports on either side. You want to dump 3/4 or even a gallon of antifreeze in the front port for the side ones, and then the center ballast, you want to go through the middle port here. This is your bilge, this is the empty, this is the fill port. So you want to go in there, and what we're going to do is dump the antifreeze in so that you're out of the bottle, obviously, and then you're going to just blip your fill control just to kind of run it through the motor so that the motor gets a little bit of antifreeze in it as well. So next you're going to want to come up here to your helm and just blip each one of these ballast empties. You'll want to empty so that, because we just put antifreeze into the tank, you want to empty it for just a moment so that it'll cycle some of that antifreeze through the motor so you don't get any cracks or anything. So you'll hear it run just for about 5 seconds on each one. There you go. That should be good. That way you won't have any cracks or issues with the pumps. So next, what you want to do, and the easiest step, is treating the fuel. So I have just over a half tank of gas left, which is about 40 gallons, and I just happen to have 4 ounces of this Chevron marine fuel stabilizer left. So I'm just going to dump this in here. So it's 1 ounce for every 10 gallons. So that's nice and easy for me. And then I actually prefer to leave my tank as empty as possible. I know some people say you can get water in there. I don't think that's a big deal, because then you're going to put an entire tank of fresh premium in the spring, and that's what you'll be running through. So it's worked for me. Alright, so to the most complex part. So this is my motor here. It's the Ilmore 6-liter. This one's in a 2021 NXT24. I believe it's in all the NXTs of 2021 and older, maybe even 2020. But yeah, 6-liter. And what we're gonna do is, there's this yellow plug right here. You need to open that, drain all the water out of it. That's the exhaust manifold, I believe. Quite a bit of water does come out of there, but just let it drain into the floor and out the bilge, and you'll be fine. And then there's another hose here on the driver's side of the motor. At least that's where mine sits, but there's this hose down here. Mine's just sitting in the bottom and it's marked with yellow. You'll just undo the cap on the end of that and let all the water out of that as well, and it does have probably a couple gallons in there too. I just drain it right here into the floor, and then it'll make its way out. And then the third thing to make sure that we're good is you're going to find the hose here. So this hose, you can see, goes to the hull and goes through the bottom. So this is the giant hose that the engine sucks water through to keep itself cool. I'm just going to undo this screw and pull the hose off, and I'm going to dump 3 gallons of RV antifreeze into the hose while it's running, and should be good to go. Last year I used 5 gallons and it was way too much, so I'm just going to do 3 this year, and then we'll check and make sure that I can see pink coming out of the exhaust manifolds behind the boat. And as long as you've got pink stuff coming out of there, you are good for the winter. So let's give it a shot. Alright, so I already pre-loosened this. You don't want to drop it, because it's a pain in the ass to find it again. there actually wasn't too much in there. Could be because I ran the motor for just a quick minute, well, like 5 seconds dry without it hooked up to the hose or anything to try and purge some of the water. But I remember last year I had quite a bit of water come out of there, so that's how you do that. Just let it drain all the way until it doesn't have any more water coming out, and then you're good for that one. Alright, so it is a real pain to get to this one. I ended up just hopping down inside the side ballast area. Got it loosened here. Let's see how much water comes out. No water, so we're good there. As long as you make sure that it's empty, then you are good. Alright, so getting this hose off is a bit of a chore, so you want to undo the hose clamp, and then you just gotta wiggle it back and forth until it comes off, and get yourself a nice area where you can hold it up. And then we're going to pour the antifreeze right in here while the motor is running. And this is the hose that sucks water up from the lake. Normally it comes up through the hole, up through this filter, and then in and around to the motor. So we're just going to pour the antifreeze right in there so it gets straight into the motor. Okay, so this goes a lot faster if you have a helper, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to prime it. So you've got your pipe undone. I'm going to prime it with, I'm just going to fill the hose up as much as I can see here. Almost. Okay, so it's full to the top of the hose. Now I'm going to go start the motor. Hear it coming out the back there, but we'll go check that. As long as we got pink stuff coming out, we're good to go. So you'll just want to come check back here, make sure you've got pink stuff probably on top of your tab, which I do, and then down coming out around the propeller as well. And you can see it's pink coming out on the ground. So we've got antifreeze all through the motor and in the shaft. So good to go there, and then we'll come back and put the hose back on. So make sure that you put this hose back on. Get it nice and tight on there. It goes on a lot easier than it comes off. And make sure you get the hose clamp back on and tighten back down. And then look for anything else weird down here, but I don't see anything going on. I've got some garbage from the kids, but other than that, it looks like it's good to go for winter. A couple other things to note. I'm here in Utah. It does get in the single digits, but it doesn't get like below freezing very often. But you can remove your extra ballast bags if you want and throw them in the garage. I've never really seen a need to, because even if the water in there did freeze, the bag's not going to rupture. So I leave my bags in. I just make sure they're completely dry. You do want to make sure that you support the bow area if you're using the cover, or even if you're getting it wrapped. The bow area will sink down, and if you get snow on there, it'll sink down and put a lot of stress on the cover. So you'll want to put like the pipe that comes with your cover, or even some other item, I don't know, to keep the cover higher in the bow area. And then I put the cover on. I just use the stock cover, and then I do put like some bungee cords around the opening around the tower to keep that tight so that snow doesn't land in there. And then I make sure that the rope that holds up the center of the cover is really tight, like as tight as I can get it, so that you don't get any sagging in the winter when snow lands on the boat, because it's not fun to try and get that off. You can also probably remove your bimini if you want to, but I've never had issues. I just wrap it up in the cover and call it good. So other than that, should be pretty good. Oh, you do want to, if you want, you can put your batteries on a trickle charger. Mine are only 2 years old, so they're not really in need of it, I don't think, but you could trickle charge them all winter or even pull them out of the boat. If you're in an area where it gets below 0, I'd probably pull them out and put them in the garage on a charger for the winter. But man, they're freaking heavy and I hate getting them out of there, so I just leave them in here with the batteries completely off and haven't had any issues. It fires right up in the spring. And then other than that, should be good to go. Make sure your plug is out for the winter, and if you can, leave a bunch of seats open so that you don't get any weird moisture or ice forming in here. If you have wet life jackets left over or anything, you can leave all the seats open so that you get plenty of airflow. And your trailer tires, make sure they aren't in the sun for the winter. I have a fence and a wall on both sides, so I don't have to do anything for my tires, but you don't want the sun beating on those all winter long. But other than that, should be good to go.